everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel, and welcome back to Tacano Emergent Biopark in Jurassic World Evolution, a project where we're working on creating a biologically accurate dinosaur park and preserve with the use of mods. As always, just before we get started, I want to say modding is not officially supported by the developers of the game Frontier, and if you want to do so at your own discretion. But once again, like I always say, modding is pretty cool and it's really brought a breath of fresh air back into the game. In today's episode, we are going to build a Tyrannosaur paddock, and we are going to be doing something a little bit fun with it. We actually have quite a few interesting Tyrannosaurus mods now, and I thought, why not use basically all of them? Well, not all of them, like 3 of them basically. But before we do that, we're just going to quickly decorate some of these areas, and as you may notice, we're using even more scenery mods now, because Danny Bob has released even more of his amazing little mod pieces here. As you can see, we have new rocks, which are now standalone and non-replacement. They're a bit smaller than the earlier replacement versions, which is fine, because I still use the replacement ones as well, just some of them, because I think having that variety in sizes as well is pretty nice. We also have some new foliage, we have some new grasses, some new thorny plants, which look really good. And we have these little scatterings of really small rocks, which I think look really nice. We also, of course, have some more fallen logs and stuff, as you may have seen. And as we go through this habitat, you'll see me use a lot of these different things. And of course, as you can see, we're doing a sunken habitat today. And it's going to be, quite secure, I think, for, a Tyrannosaur paddock. They can't really escape anywhere. There's no area where the fence is on the same level as the animals, so you're pretty safe. Because as much as I talk about how, at the end of the day, these are animals and stuff like that, and you don't want to, make them out to be more, aggressive or intimidating than they actually are. At the end of the day, Tyrannosaurus is still one of the largest predators to have ever walked the earth. You want to have it in a safe paddock where it can't access the guest, because this is still an incredibly large, powerful animal. Probably one of the most powerful predators to have ever walked the earth, which is absolutely just still considering that. As much as it's the most famous dinosaur, everyone knows about it, actually thinking about it and seeing, the scale of it, it blows my mind every time. It's really quite crazy. But yeah, in this paddock, what we're going to be doing is actually something quite fun. Because we do have quite a few Tyrannosaur mods, we're going to be introducing a family unit of Tyrannosaurs. So this isn't necessarily something that is scientifically backed. We have found fossils of Tyrannosaurus in group settings, but of course we don't know whether that's a family unit, whether they just happen to die together. But the family hypothesis is not out of the question. I think it's entirely possible that a large predator like this would have lived in family units, especially with the young. If it only had a few young at a time, it would almost definitely need the care and protection from parents. So I thought, let's do that. So in this habitat, we are going to have 2 adult Tyrannosaurs, the 2 parents, and we are going to have 3 younger Tyrannosaurs. And the way we're going to do this is by the use of 3 different mods. So the first mod we're using is, I believe, by Zach. Let me just double check that. I always forget to check before this. Yes, it is by Zach or UNSC 200 on the Nexus. And this is a Tyrannosaurus based on the Stan specimen. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Stan is the largest specimen of Tyrannosaur ever discovered. Let me just double check that. I can't actually remember. So Stan is definitely one of the most complete ones. Let me just double check that. Yeah, actually. Yeah, I believe, actually, Stan might be smaller than the other specimen we're checking out. I can't remember which exactly is the largest specimen that was discovered. If you know, please let me know in the comments down below, because I've completely forgotten. It might be Stan? Can't remember. Anyways, this mod is based on the Stan specimen, which is, again, one of the more complete ones. And we're also going to be using another one, which is actually by Digital Duck, which is another Tyrannosaurus, but instead based on the Sioux specimen, which is again another extremely complete, and if I'm not mistaken, the most complete Tyrannosaur specimen ever found. So we're going to have those 2, and we're going to use those 2 to kind of emulate sexual dimorphism. There are slight model differences and coloration differences, And they look almost a bit too different for my liking, but at the same time, I think that it works fine because, again, sexual dimorphism can take on some pretty dramatic effects. And for a juvenile Tyrannosaurus, what we're going to be using is we're going to be using the Nano Tyrannus by Angry Gal on the Nexus. And that we're going to be using as a juvenile Tyrannosaur because Nano Tyrannus is dubious at best. I think at the moment, almost no one in the paleontology community really thinks Nano Tyrannus was a separate species. It's almost like, I think it's almost universally thought that it is currently, just a juvenile Tyrannosaurus Rex, which I'm kind of on board with. It just doesn't really make the most sense to have another species in that ecosystem fill what would have been a very, already quite a cluttered niche if there's Tyrannosaurs of that kind of size around. So I entirely think it probably was juvenile T-Rex, and I think that works perfectly in this scenario. So we're going to have 3 juveniles in here. 2 of them are going to be the coastal scent, so quite dark, which kind of fits with the coloration of the Snan specimen, I believe. And one of them is going to be a brighter white to kind of represent an albino or an albino individual. So I think that works out pretty well. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this habitat. What I would have liked is to have a viewing area up here, like a viewing gallery. But the thing with terraforming in this game, ever since we got the enhanced terrain tools, is that because the game is not meant for like extreme terraformation like this, it doesn't always recognize where you can place buildings, and then sometimes it just doesn't let you. So that's kind of what happened here. It doesn't really let me build in certain areas in this habitat and around it. So instead I put down a viewing area kind of near the bottom here. But it's still elevated, it's still much higher than where the Tyrannosaurus would be. As you can see throughout the habitat, I've placed a lot of the new scenery, the new rocks. We also have these really nice long grasses now from Danny Bob, which work really well if reeds by the water, and I think that looks really good. A lot of the new rocks as well help out tremendously in this whole endeavor here. Of course, still plenty of finagling with the fences because I keep forgetting where I've placed the invisible fences in these other habitats. And the one thing I did cut out was I had to completely change the Bellower and Zalmoxes habitats to facilitate the path actually going through here into the Tyrannosaur area. So that was quite an endeavor because as soon as I brought the fences to rebuild them, they escaped and I had to tranquilize all of them, and it was the whole thing. But yeah, this is pretty much the end of the time lapse. What we're going to do now is, of course, just show you the dinosaurs emerging from the hatchery, and here you will be able to see the 3 different Tyrannosaurs that we're using, of course, what would be the male, the female, and then the 3 offspring. So yeah, I'll look forward to that, and I'll catch you in the live portion of the game just after. So I'll see you all then. Alright, here we are in the game, and as you can see, this is our Tyrannosaur paddock. It's actually pretty large, and as you can see, there's natural barriers on all the sides. There's really sharp-edged cliffs here. As you can see, they go right up to the viewing areas, and as far as where the guests are going to be going, the Tyrannosaurs can't really reach them. So, it's pretty safe, I would say, but it's, at the end of the day, it's still Jurassic World, so safety is a bit of a loose statement. Anyways, we have our Tyrannosaurs in here, and they're just enjoying themselves. I think one is stuck inside a rock. Yes, it is. So that's one of the issues with scenery mods, is that because the hitboxes are so tiny, the animals do kind of just phase through them. But while we're waiting for these guys to emerge, let's have a look at some of our juveniles. So Again, this is by Angry Gal on the Nexus. Please do check out the mod author and their other mods. But as you can see, it is quite a beautiful mod. It looks like a juvenile Tyrannosaur. And you may think the head might be a bit narrow for a juvenile Tyrannosaur, or like you might think, oh, it's a bit lanky. But if you look at the fossils, or if you just look at generally the reconstructions that people have been doing recently of juvenile Tyrannosaurs, that's kind of how they look. They're very lanky, long, very like slender animals. And that's why this is cool hypothesis that as a Tyrannosaur grew up, it would fill different niches in its environment, which is really quite fascinating. And this is the one I created to kind of emulate like an albino or an albino juvenile, so that works out pretty well. And they do kind of congregate because, of course, the game considers them a different species, so they herd together, which is pretty cool. Only thing about this mod is that the tail kind of breaks a little bit sometimes, which I'm not really sure why that happens. It might be because the mesh has shortened the tail a bit, but I don't mind too much. It's not a big deal, and you don't see it most of the time. But yeah, beautiful animal. The mod author has done a great job. The eye, the coloration, all looks really good, and it matches the adults pretty well, who we'll kind of have a look at now. So this is the one I chose to kind of represent the male specimen, which, as you can see, it really worked for the juvenile to look like an adult of that version. And it's walking into a rock. Oh no. Okay, it's walking past the rock. Oh, nope, it stopped halfway into the rock. That's not good. But yeah, as you can see, this is the base of the stand specimen, and it looks beautiful. I believe Zach mentioned, oh, he's gonna roar. Very impressive. But I believe Zach mentioned on the Nexus as well that this is based off the skin in Prehistoric Kingdom, so I believe he means the Brumal skin, if I'm not mistaken. So if you go to any of my Prehistoric Kingdom videos, actually no, I haven't done one on that skin, but if you look up anyone else's Prehistoric Kingdom videos, there's a feathered Tyrannosaur variant, and it has a skin quite similar to this, which worked pretty well. But yeah, it's a gorgeous animal. I love the model. I love the fact that it has lips. That's currently, again, still in debate. We don't know whether a lot of theropods did have lips to cover the teeth. I think they probably did. It just makes sense for them to have lips to protect the teeth. Like, why would you have your teeth exposed to the air all the time? I know some animals do, but still, I think it's more likely that lips were a thing. But I think it just looks good in general. It looks like a beautiful animal. So let's go see the other parent, which is in here somewhere. It's such a big habitat, I lose them so easily. But as you can see, by the way, the scenery, the new scenery things look so good. I love these little plants here. They're called thorn plants. I don't know what they actually are, but they look beautiful. We've got some bones here and there, which I imagine from like previous meals. Oh, that's a juvenile running past. We got the reeds, which I think looks so good next to the water. We got these logs as well, which look really nice. Yeah, and these small stones I think look perfect. Overall, just very happy with the wide range of foliage we have in the game now. It just makes the habitat look so nice. Now, where's there she is. Okay, so that is our female, and I think she looks spectacular. We've used this model before, actually, in my first Biopark series, I believe. And I think it looks beautiful. Really, really nice. Oh my god, what is happening there? Oh, I guess it just glitched. That isn't even a mod glitch. That was in Jurassic World Evolution way before. But yeah, I think it looks really good. The only difference between this version and the one we used the first time around in my old park build is that it replaces the 1993 Rex variant. So what that means is it has a different skin texture because it doesn't have a unique skin like the other model does. It is based off the skin we have in the game. So it looks like it is based off the 1993 Tyrannosaur. Is it gonna roar? It's gonna roar. Beautiful. But yeah, I think it looks really good. This is what I mean when I say it looks a bit too different for my liking from the other versions of Tyrannosaur. It's just because the skin texture here, it looks very wrinkly and less scaly. But it's not a bad thing. I still think the model is beautiful, and I think they will still work fine as a pair. I don't know if we'll actually see them in a pair because they keep wandering off and being in very different areas of the habitat. But they look really good, and I'm very happy with this whole thing. As of what we're going to do next, we're already at the bottom end of the park here, so I think this is going to be another guest hub, followed by another few habitats. Maybe another big herbivore paddock would be quite nice. And of course, we still have plenty of the park to build. We've got all these smaller habitats to build, go up to the operations center. And technically we can actually go up here and build stuff too. And of course even up here, which I flattened out a little bit so we have some space. So we really do have quite a lot to work with. Even here we could put in a small dinosaur really. So we have plenty of space to build things. And of course I want to include an aviary at some point. That'd be nice. I always like to include an aviary in the park builds that I do. But yeah, overall very pleased with how everything's turned out. Let's have a look in the viewing gallery. And we can't see very much except for that one, that juvenile over there. Can we see any of the adults? Oh yeah, there's one. The other one is wandering off somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. We'll just finish off on this view here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you like this habitat? What would you like to see next? Like the video if you did like today's video, of course. Do subscribe for more Jurassic World Evolution content. I post Jurassic World Evolution videos every Friday at 5 PM UK time, if I can remember my schedule. I post Planet Zoo videos every Wednesday at 5 PM UK times, and I post Prehistoric Kingdom videos every Monday at 5 PM UK time. So if that all sounds good to you, do consider subscribing. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!